Voice is Random. I'm your host, Eldridge D. Alexander, and today I just really wanted to talk about what's going on with a couple of things in as far as the communication connection with Justin Bieber and how they're creating the right environment for the type of collusion to take place where someone could be harassed to the degree in which some of the people are claiming that they're harassed. Is it just me, or is the level of involvement from people that are supposedly named, or the people that are coming out as being someone responsible or involved in these particular incidents involving Justin Bieber and some of the other people like Orlando Brown, that have come out allegedly talking about some of their views. You would have to think about there being the right environment in order for the type of abuse to take place. I'm just thinking about it from an HR perspective, as someone who worked in the HR for like the last couple of decades and who has a 53 plus year career in corporate America. There's always a video or some type of training that you go through when you're in HR about how to treat people, right? And what harassment it is in the workplace and what happens when something happens. And it's all been around, if you see something, say something. So I can't believe that all these people that have gone through and seen things that have happened to people in the industry have not said something. Now, this would suggest to me that whatever is going on, or the conditions that created the environment for the type of alleged behavior to take place as form of harassment and abuse, it would have to go through all levels of the organization as well as outside of the organization. And you think about the people, some of the people that may be connected to this industry and the levels at which they are in the organizations, and the fact that some of them are now miraculously stepping down for whatever reason, quietly retiring, as one may say, right? And we haven't probably seen the half of it. But what I really wanted to say is this a distraction? The timing of this is suspect for me, because I remember when first few videos came out, specifically the one where they released the video footage on Kim Porter. And that was around the time that they were starting to gear up for the conventions. And now that we're getting closer and closer to the deadline for voter registration, we now have the distraction of Diddy being arrested and locked up and all the questions surrounding this. But my whole thing was coming from a HR, a human resources perspective, that we have, like I said, training about harassment and abuse in the workplace. And it says that if you see something, say something. And I remember that being a full whole campaign for at least the last 3 or 4 years, especially since I was in the area where we were talking about transformation of the culture. So did you have one in which people respected people? Now that gets me to the next point. We have so much disrespect coming down from the highest levels of authority in this country. It's almost as if people are watching the Father and understanding how to behave. And what I say to that is, I'm talking about the time when Donald Trump was in office, and now that he perceived to be someone who may be the figurehead for this nation. And for me, all of the way that he talks about people and to people, he and his running mate, who could also be the president of the United States. Because if you remember, if for some reason the president is deemed unfit or unable to facilitate the duties that have been prescribed to him during the presidency, then the vice president steps in. So this whole adage about you not picking the vice president, you're picking the president, baloney. Because when you pick a vice president, you technically are saying that that person is qualified to step in day one or day two or whenever, if for some reason that president is unable to fulfill the duties and the obligations of presidents of the United States. And so there's people out there that are looking at this. And so for those of you who want JD Vance for your president, shame on you, because he's already told you the type of person he is. He's already told you that he will lie and make up stories if he has to get media attention. So what does that tell you? If you want to have somebody that will lie and make up stories and have their hands on the button, right? Nuclear weapons codes, right? Think about that, for example. And then you think about what messages we send to people in other countries or other allies about doing business with us, is that we are not to be trusted, because our leader is not to be trusted. He speaks with forked tongue. He tells you one thing and does something else. So on the one hand, is saying that, we don't want any single cat ladies ruling the world, but then also on the other hand, saying that we're going to shut women down. I've shut down Roe versus Wade, and I'm proud that I did it, and I'll do even more. And that's the crazy thing about it, is people don't realize that this has been going on forever. If you watch a movie called The Snake Pit, you'll always see that they always say the root of women's thinking is always hysteria, thus the hysterectomy at the seat. So they always want to attack the female organs, which is a tactic as to whether or not you're woman enough or you're not woman enough. That goes to the next point. Black enough. If you got one drop of black blood, people need to go back and look up Plessy Ferguson and some other laws that said that if you had one black drop of black blood, you were black. So thus, Jamaicans are considered black people. Therefore, even since black isn't a race, Jamaican is a heritage and a nationality. Then, of course, that makes her someone who feels fits in it. And you can be biracial, thus Trump being German and Scottish. Otherwise, you got to go tell him which one he chooses. Oh, that's right. I think we already see which one he's choosing because I see some flashbacks to history that some of his people like what's her name, Laura Looney, wants to say didn't happen. She's a Holocaust denier, a 911 insider person, but those are the people you want to say that you support. And then Robinson, who says he wishes that we had slavery because he owned a few, like he think he'll be exempt from it. And then you give us Herschel Walker and him. I'm so disrespected. I can't even tell you, just as a person, as a human, to say that that's the best you could find. That's why you put that up there like that. I know what you did there. I'm not stupid, and I know that a lot of us aren't. So I see various ways in which you're showing the various disrespect that a lot of white women that when I was in my gender studies class were fighting to overthrow. But it seems like to me it's the same thing that happened when Frederick Douglass was out there speaking and orating for the suffragettes, and then once the women got the vote, the 20, so they said the hell with us. Because if you notice, we didn't get a vote in 1920. We didn't get a vote until the 1967, the voting rights. You think about 64 civil rights, and then you got to wait 3 more years before you can vote. But yet you got to go and fight and die in this country and build it up. But it's ageism is confusing everywhere because now you got kids confused. Okay, you're 13, you're paying adult fares going into the movie, right? I know this is a lot, but it's a lot of things that people are really confused because the laws conflict. So you got kids that can have a gun out here, but and then they pay adult fares to get into a movie, but they can't vote. You can send them to fight in a war. It just blows my mind, just some of the things that people do in the name of Christianity, right? In the name of Christianity, thou shalt have no other gods before me, and thou shalt not kill. But yet, you have the person who's running for president endorsing a person to be a governor that says some people need to be killed, but yet that's supposed to be white nationalism and connected to Christianity. You're scaring people, and you're wondering why young people don't go to church because you do still having policies and things that come out of your mouth that's in direct conflict with the doctrines that you supposedly want kids to come in and study, which brings me to the other point that I wanted to make as to how, when I was reading how certain people were indoctrinated and to turn against their families, they used youth. And there was a young man on the Midas Touch yesterday saying that he first started hearing about the MAGA movement when he was 12. He had never really thought anything about it, and every day he would hear it. And so he said he just kind of built into it, bought into it until he started hearing all of the stuff that was coming out of J.D. Vance's mouth about people eating cats and dogs, which he admitted that he made up the lie, that he'll continue to make up lies. It don't matter if he can get the media's attention and get them to position on things. Now remember, it's Haitians today. Asian people, y'all remember when there was a thing against Asian people and Mexican immigrants? Do y'all remember when y'all was said that y'all was rapists and murderers? So now it's the Haitian people time and the African. See, so you see how it moves? Jews had their time, and it's gonna happen even more because you're not what he said. What Norwegian? That tells you what type of people want. I mean, and you have to ask yourself, do you want to live in a world where people are telling you that your grandkids who may have a drop of blood from somewhere else, not necessarily from an African or an African American or someone, a Haitian or Jamaican or Indian or Egyptian or any of those other descents, may not have it. But if it's a group they don't like, then they can basically say, okay, we don't like this and you're no longer part of the family. And you have whole cultures in which honor killings and stuff happen, people being stoned for being married to the wrong person. Do we want to go back to that kind of stuff? Do we want to have that where we have laws that say you can't marry the right person, whether or not it's a person that's of what you call the different thing about heterosexuality, which I could take you down the road to that. You need to go research the word with the lexicon and you will see that the word was made up. So it's so many things out there that's going on right now that's thwarting people's reality and they don't really understand what's going on. But I would encourage you, like Taylor Swift said, do your research and think about the type of world you want to live in. And so what I really want to say is in this book by Dr. Stephen Robbins, he talks about how it has to be a well-oiled machine of the way that something works. So like if you have certain fish and they saltwater fish and you try to have the same oxygen levels and the same type of food that you give them and the same type of light and stuff, even with plants, if you try to do the same thing for different ones, they won't survive. And that's all this is really about, is how do you create an environment where everybody can survive, where they're not being taken advantage of, as was allegedly in the situation that happened with P. Diddy and all the people that were hurt by him. More so, how can we make sure that we're not getting distracted by something right now won't really result in impact into my bottom line, because if his ass is locked up, it don't result in anything economically to any of us. So we shouldn't give a shit about what's happening to P. Diddy at this point. That's just my humble opinion. I don't give a shit about him because his freedom and privacy is already being compromised. I want mine to remain intact. So I'm not going to be distracted by the bullshit that's happening with somebody that can walk up and say, I'll give you 50 million and let me stay out of jail when shit. Most people struggling to get $50 some days. $50,000 to have a house. But I'm saying people out here struggling for $50. We don't give a shit about, to tell the truth. We don't give a shit about what happens to him. We don't. We really don't. What we care about is whether or not we're going to be able to have the freedom to be able to go outside our house without being attacked, or whether or not we're going to have a freedom to stay in the jobs that we want to be, or vote the way we want to, or buy what we want to buy, or watch what we want to buy, watch on TV. Just the freedom to move around, and because that's what's at stake. We don't give a shit about Diddy. Okay, I'm really just being honest with everybody. So even if you don't like what I said, I hope you subscribe to the channel, because I'm just trying to be honest here to say to you is that we all know that everything that P. Diddy did, he couldn't have did it by himself, because we know we don't own banks, we don't own mortgage companies, right? We damn sure don't run the damn New York Stock Exchange or none of those things where a person is allowed to get access to the type of money and the type of power and the type of access to the type of things. Most people are never, we gonna only hear about it. We're never going to have access to those things. So I say that there's a well-oiled machine in effect that allowed him to get to the point where he is. And just like Donald Trump, they got a lot of shit on people. And this is why people are holding them up. And this is why it took so long for them to be able to do anything to R. Kelly, to do anything to Pete Diddy, and now to do anything to Donald Trump, because they know where the bodies are buried, and Ghislaine Maxwell got the book. See, so you wait till it start. You ain't seen retirement, early retirement like you seen, and people working to save their asses. Because when you talking about, notice they couldn't get him on just beating somebody's ass. They have to come in with trafficking and RICO, just like what they did with Al Capone. Just like they gonna want to know. And usually when it comes down to shit like this, when you made money off of bringing people bodies and shit in, that whole notion goes back to bodies being in slavery. And you think about the connection of bodies being and what the amount of money that was transacted. Seeing somebody didn't get paid. And that's why this whole house of cards toppled, because somebody didn't get paid. Somebody in that whole group didn't get their money. That's what this is really all about. I swear, watch. When it all come out, you're gonna find out the people that's involved into it is people you never suspected. But a lot of things like this is business deals. Because if you think about, like I said, somebody of the magnitude like a John Gotti, people like Al Capone, it was never about any of the crimes they committed. It all got down to the accountant's books. You think I'm kidding? But somebody somewhere didn't get some money, and that's what started the house of cards from falling. Because when people get paid the way they're supposed to get paid, they shut up, because the system that's in process, it wants to perpetuate itself. It don't want to do anything to topple that system. And that's why you had all those people that were co-conspirators, compliant, complicit, collusionists. That's why they were able to do it, because they were getting what they. But as soon as that domino, one thing happened, that whole domino effect fell. That is how you topple them down, and then they got them on RICO and trafficking and stuff, and all that stuff involves human bodies where money is transacted for a specific number of bodies in a specific place at a specific time doing a specific thing, and somebody didn't get what they were supposed to get. I'm telling y'all, this it's like, I don't know, it's like some type of CSI or something you see on TV, but I just want to know what your frequency is on this. Do you really understand the level and the level and the depth? So it have to go up and it will have to go out, because you got to help people in hospitals. You got to help people in court systems. You got to help people at airlines. You got to help people at hotels, at food places, even at surgery. Every single facet of somebody's waking life, where you need to do physical, mental, spiritual, financial, medical well-being. There would have to be collusion where people would have to know stuff. Medication being dispensed. What pharmacy? Who brought the medication? Who picked up the medication? All these types of things. If somebody was hurt, if housekeeping, everybody. I'm telling you. Can you say network? NETWORK. Hey, if you like this video, go on and subscribe. I'll be doing more communication and culture. And I'm just saying that I looked at the communication cues and I know this is a network, and that this is all about what if someone could create the environment and how would they do it. And this is a case study. This is one that for the records, y'all. All right, I'll see you in the next broadcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share. Follow me here and follow me on Instagram. I'll talk to you later because, I want to know, what's your frequency? What's your frequency? The whole Justin Bieber Diddy connection, the Donald Trump disrespect, JD Vance could be president, all those good things. And then also the fact that you're saying, the last thing I really want to say is that anybody that's choosing Trump, that sucks, because you really hurt us as women to say that we'll take a 34-time convicted felon, person convicted of SA, someone who doesn't have a moral compass, someone who lies, and we think that's better than you as a woman, as a black woman. That's some painful shit, especially when it's coming from other men and women that look like you, who may have went through things you went, and who desire to be back, like Tim Robbins. What the guy says, Robinson, whatever the hell his name is, that said he wish he could own some slaves. Yeah. Okay. All right. I see y'all in the next.